Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. So less is more. Go simple. I'm teaching you how to do a simple landscape with a simple house. I'll give you a reference photo. If you're a Patreon member, you get the trace. Simple, simple, simple. Keep it simple if you're just starting out. And you can take a photograph and completely change it. I completely changed this. It was like a barn. I don't know, it's kind of like a barn, but I just changed the whole look of it. But you can keep it brown. You could add the stone wall. I didn't. Take things out and then I show you how to make it look a really simple flower field. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we have a 5x7 block from Fabriano, 100% cotton cold pressed paper. You got the reference photo. Now imagine that we're going to change this up. We're not going to maybe paint the cloudy sky and the dark greens and stuff. It looks very fallish. Switch it to spring and don't have to paint all the little nuances. If you're just starting out in watercolor, take a simple like buildings for a photograph. Just kind of draw that little building. We're not going to go super crazy here and paint the sky. So I'm going to use ultramarine blue deep. I'm going to loosen this up. Maybe add a little burnt sienna if you do want a slightly grayer sky in some areas. So you make gray here, but more of the blue itself. So I'm going to clean off. I'm using a Princeton 12 aqua elite series. I like to get it's much easier to paint the sky if it's wet. So get the water everywhere that's not the house, right? This little building here in the background. If it goes in the background, that's fine. You'll see the sheen of the water. Wherever the water goes is where the paint will go. Wherever the water isn't, the paint won't go there. So just get this filled with water. Not a ton like a huge puddle. You want to just be able to see a sheen. I talk about this all the time. Just a sheen. And doing small is a little less intimidating than doing big. You start off doing small when you're a beginner. And I'm grabbing this water, this ultramarine blue deep. I'm loosening it up. So the consistency is like tea almost. You see this? And this goes really fast. Don't keep going back over it, working on it. I'm telling you, just do this. So I'm lifting it, kind of tilting it, right? Watch my brush. Swoop. Leave a little white space. Swoop underneath, a bigger swoop. A little smaller swoop. And on the side here, and come down a little bit. And that's it. And just kind of push your little paint down here. And that's it. That's the clouds I'll make. I'll add a little bit more paint up here, right? It already makes the kind of sprays for that. If you want to add some grays, you can add some grays by mixing the two colors, burnt sienna and ultramarine blue deep. Now you got to move on real quick, real fast. I'm getting this bluish gray here, a little bit thicker. I'm gonna mix my color so I don't screw this up. You can add a little deeper color here, up in the top. Always going to go a little bit more on the top than the bottom. Do it now before it gets before the paint's seeping in the paper. That's how you get those balloons that you don't like. That's kind of it. That's kind of all I'm doing. I don't want it to be too dark. I want to keep it light and bright. I do want to go back over just a little bit more with some blue over here. And a little bit gray here. So I did make mine a little gray, but you don't have to. You can see how I just did the blue in the beginning. Just stick with the blue. Stick with the blue. Make it a fun, happy sky. Mine's a little gray. You don't have to do it, but it's more blue gray. So that's like really gray. It's up to you. Now we're going to go into the ground real quick. So you can use those two colors, by the way, if you want to make a brown house, but don't paint the house now because it will bleed right into it, and we don't want to do that. The ground. There's a couple of tricks to do. I'm going to play with some gouache. It's a little trick. We're going to splatter some gouache. So it look like daisies. Let's get some greens and some browns mixed up. Cadmium yellow deep. Little Prussian blue. Look at that deep green. If you add some burnt umber, you get like it's nice deep green. Now you can take that same green, grab more yellow, and you've got a medium bright green happening. If you add ultramarine blue deep to this green, oh, it's more like a bluish green. Bunch of varieties, the spice of life here. Look at all these different greens. I'm gonna go add a little bit brown in here. So I know this one shows that there's like those rustic colors. We're gonna just throw that out the window. Don't even look at it. Ooh, I got paint on here. So we're just going to start with a bright green. Take your brush, going right across. I got my little house there, so what? If I hit some of that, it's all right. Just gonna tilt this a little bit on the side. So we're gonna put that first wash in there. Just gonna fill that in. It's just one solid mass. Now, it's very damp, it's very wet. At this point, you can start to put in a little bit of dark color here and there. I make it a little thicker. It's not so, see, you can see those little mounds there. You can get even darker with thicker paint. So I'm adding some more Prussian blue, and that's burnt sienna, I'm sorry, burnt umber. Get some darker greens. Look how much more interesting that is now, right? You can tap a little bit of those dark colors. You can take some burnt sienna, and you get more of a brown. Why do I want some dark colors like you see in the front? I'm leaving some green. See, I'm kind of wiggling, leaving spaces here. I'm going to splatter a little bit of white gouache, and it's going to do some fun stuff. It's going to make those wonderful little blooms for you. If you wanted to add that rustic color, you can go in and add some of that rustic color. It's up to you. Or go back in and add some bright yellow, some chartreuse green looking color like this. Keeping it light and bright in the background. Right? So now it's damp and it's wet. Just going to loosen up a little bit more paint here. Ooh, I want to get it pretty wet. Okay, I'm going to loosen up some white gouache. And it kind of does this thing where it dissipates. And I got to splatter it. If you're going to splatter it, you got to cover the top because you're going to screw that up. Take a paper towel, whatever you've got that's close by. Just cover this area on top so you don't mess this up. Okay. Clean up your brush. Wiggle this gouache when you add water to it. It's still thick, but it will move much easier. And you're just gonna splat, flat. Some of it will stay super white. A lot of it will dissipate because it's kind of watered down. And it will have that look like you see in the field. And other people use the salt technique when they're putting this like coarse salt and kind of gets a similar effect. This is a lot easier and faster. And I think it's a little prettier. Now, it might dissipate so much that you don't even see the white. If you use thicker paint, it will stay because it's thick. It's going to stick. So I'm using a little bit thicker paint. Squeeze off the water out of your brush. Try and use some thick paint. Or you can just tap the thicker paint in some of those little areas that have gone and dissipated. You see that? It just gives it a really cool look. And it looks like it's a field full of daisies. It has a really kind of cool texture to it. So you're tapping a few, you're splattering a few, blah, blah, blah. Look how cool that looks. Already, without minimal effort, this is perfect for a beginner. Okay, so we can make the house color. I'll use ultramarine blue deep and burnt sienna. And the more burnt sienna, it's more of a brown. The more blue, it's more blue. So we start off again, light. Maybe add more burnt sienna. Maybe like a nice brown house. It could be white though. You could leave it white. Maybe we'll leave it white. I think I might leave it white. I don't know. And then just put shadows in and put a gray roof. I think I'll do that. You can change it all up. So yeah, then it's more of a spring color kind of situation. See? So if we change this, of course this is going to be darker, but we're going to make this a white house. And I'm going to make a gray roof. And I might use some green shutters. Right? And this little doodad thing here on top, we can still do, we can make it gray. Just like the photograph, but only, see, I'm kind of just going like this with my brush. And then here, the side of the eaves, gray. I want to keep the house white. Just looks springier. If you make it brown, that's fine with you. You can do it brown. You can make the shutters green. Just gonna move up some of this. You can make it a nice, get that ultramarine blue deep and some yellow. bluish green. You could add some peacock to that. We'll change the green color. Take a peacock blue, you can add some yellow, and you get that greenish kind of Cape Cod green color, turquoisey green color. And I would just use this for the shutters. I'm still using my big brush because I can get a lot of surface area pretty quickly. Just putting that down. Just like the little lines right there. The background had like some mountains. Listen, ultramarine blue deep, a little bright rose. We can make like a purple color, purplish blue. And you just put that, maybe a little bit more blue in the background. So there's mountains, just like a little mountain going on here, way up in the distance happening. Notice I left this little white strip. We can make that into a whole different thing with the greens. You can add some green here. Or you can keep that wonderful little stone wall. It's up to you. But I'm adding the greens and the deeper greens going on here. We can add a fence, all that stuff. Do the first wash. We're going to add some detail. Again, ultramarine blue deep, kind of thicker with the burnt sienna. It makes almost like a deep, dark, grayish black. I would use that for the windows. And also, now that we have the side of the white would not be white. It's going to be gray. So we take this gray, water it down, and that's the side of the house. We're going to go back over here on the side and put some detail of shading because it wouldn't be white on the side. It's going to be this gray color. See? You can just take the same image and you notice that it changed the color. If you want to make the house green, make that dark side darker green. Make the roof a little bit darker. And this gray might dry a little too light and might have to go back in and make it a little bit deeper, which I'm doing here. Because even though it's white, the shadows, I'm making it gray. Same thing up here. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. I'm going to come back. So what's going to really make this whole thing punch is we take that deeper gray, mixing those two colors I just did, right? So the eave has to be darker here. And we get a darker shadow underneath the house right here, right? So again, those two colors. It's a little darker here happening, and then this side's darker. This is because the sun's coming from here. Use those same two colors to make the deep dark gray for the windows. Now a little trick, I would just paint it gray going straight down, and we can add just a little bit of white gouache for the panes so you're not going crazy painting that. I'm going to mix those two colors again, getting that deeper color. It looked blue, so it needs to be more gray. Simple like that. Just a little bit deeper here with the shadow. And this one gets a little bit darker. Under the little roof here, just use a little line. There's an interior. These are just like minor details. Now it kind of pops, right? You can just grab a little bit deeper gray on the side here. I feel like it's not dark enough. I'm watering it down a little bit. Oh, it's looking a little too brown. Just grab a little bit more blue. Okay. Now it looks like the sun is really hitting that front of the house like it's supposed to. And we can go back in with any of the greens here. We can kind of just take our dark green. If we've lost it, just make some more dark green like we're doing here. Kind of mixing this greens that I have. See, just go lighter greens. We can start to put some grasses in. This one be darker here. And put a little dark shadow kind of coming out like this from the green, deep green, and then we can put some greens in here. We're going to take a brush called a liner brush. If you don't have one, I suggest get one. I'm just going to put some greens like this. Just washing, I'm just trying to get off all the excess paint off my brush and just kind of move this paint a little bit more. There we go. Clean up that. It's got a little too muddy here. Okay, you can always just lift it, and that's with a clean brush. Lift up the color, and there we go. Blends nicely. Okay, so this liner brush is great for many things. Grasses, we can do those window panes like I said, but great for grasses. So we want some bright green grasses because we don't want to be in the fall. We just take this and we just wiggle it under some of those wonderful white blooms that we kind of splattered in. Go up here. If you need to have a darker, deeper color, do that. Almost like black, brown, grays. By the way, it can be colorful too. You can splatter color. It doesn't have to be white. Have fun with it. Just less is more with the grass. Don't do it everywhere. I'm just going to put a little couple of grasses over here. Back here. We don't want a million grasses going everywhere. Just want a few. Just a few popping here and there. Otherwise it looks kind of ridiculous. It's a little overdone. Take some white gouache and just put that on this liner brush and go across the little panes here. See, line across, line down. Just a little bit goes a long way for the window panes. You don't need a million little lines, you know. And you can take this and use this for like little teeny flowers in the background here. Little tippy taps. And go over those some of those areas, especially where the white was, you know, kind of just melded into the paint, dissipated. You can just kind of pop them up a little bit more by adding the white right on top of that. And you have a really cute white field. Less is more. This is a simple little house. This is how simple you need to keep it. Just a couple of colors, tippy taps. And look how cute. Simple little house. Right? You can add a little fence. You could add a little white picket fence. It would be a little bit gray here. But you could add a white fence. See, look at that. With the gouache. Not in the photograph, but see how creative you can get? And so if you water down the gouache a little bit, it will dissipate, which is perfect because you don't want it to be super white. There's your little fence. Isn't that cute? So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Keep it simple. Don't go crazy. Add a little things here and there. And just make your wash really fast and simple when you do the sky. Right? Don't have to do a million details. You can if you want. And I took a photograph that I saw online and just completely changed it, right? I just like the composition, and then you just use it for that. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know. Leave a comment below. And like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you get the trace that I did. But everyone gets the reference photo and just the technique. Keep it simple. You do too much, you go a little crazy. And if you're going to do anything different, you want to add something in, maybe add a little bit of shadows to some of the mountains with a little bit of grays, purple, so they don't look like these flat little mountains. They have some depth to them, and that's it. That's all she wrote. All right, guys, take care, and I'll speak to you soon.